Raise your right hand. State after me. Congratulations, Governor.
I stand before you today humbled by this deep honor and privilege to serve as your governor of the state of Oklahoma. Now, as governor, my #1 goal will be to bring an end to the economic stagnation that our state has been facing, to deal with our budget deficits, and to also work on the lost opportunities that our Oklahoma families have faced. And today marks a beginning of a new era for the state of Oklahoma, and it will be with your help that we'll bring that new era to our state.
What's next for me? Well, first of all, my husband and I, once we get through the changeover and the transition to the new governor, Governor Stitt, which will be January 14th, we're actually going to be there, hand over the power, and then we're going to take a vacation. And by ourselves, no children, no security, just by ourselves. And we're very excited about that. And of course, we've been preparing the office for the transition and all of our different divisions of government, because we believe in a smooth transition of power, which is important. But we also have to prepare for ourselves, and we began moving all of our towels and sheets and pots and pans and all those things to our house.
Well, in, say, 2 or 3 years' time, where are we going to see the name Mary Fallin?
Well, that's a big question. You know, I hope I'll be able to take off several months and spend time with my family. I have a new grandson that's 3.5 months old, and of course spend time with my husband and get our house in order. And then I'd like to do some consulting, maybe serve on some corporate boards and help on economic development projects. I've had a big interest in criminal justice reform, and we've made some great strides in that particular space over the past couple of years. And so things I've had a heart for, I hope to continue to do some work for, and always want to focus on bringing jobs and opportunities here.
You know, when I was elected as governor in the year 2011, I promised the people of Oklahoma that we were going to get Oklahoma back on its feet, that we were going to continue to restore our finances, to help build stronger families and a stronger economy, and that we were going to create jobs in our state. And that's exactly what we've been working on for the last 4 years.
When you're new to politics, you know, you're pretty, this is it, there's, in my opinion, no opinion. But when you learn more once you're in public service, and especially when you're at this level, or even at the congressional level, where I had the chance to serve for 4 years, you see kind of the bigger picture of things. So, like today, I had a big announcement on some commutations of low-level offenders who had addiction issues that have been given 10 years or more in prison. But under current state law today, they probably would have gotten no prison time at all, or maybe just a few years. So I did some commutations today. But one of the reasons that was important to me was when I first came into office, seeing the big picture of things. We had about 12,500 children who had been neglected or abused or abandoned and ended up in Department of Human Services care. And my mother was a social worker back when I was a young girl. And then I see that the kids who are in Department of Human Services care, they have parents, a parent or maybe more parents, or living with a grandparent whose mother or father have addiction issues. And so they end up in the system. And then when you get out of the correctional facilities, then you can't find a job because you got a felony behind your name, and maybe you didn't complete your education. So when you look at the big picture, and that's been the beauty of having a job like this, all the different things that affects the prosperity, the economics of a state, the education of a state, social and societal challenges that a state has to take care of, then you start seeing things in the big picture and hopefully being able to make the changes that will make a difference. And one of my favorite sayings is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when you're able to have the authority to act on things that can make a difference for your state, and as people, you know, be bold enough to do it. It's easy to shy away when you might be voting on some legislation, or as a governor having the opportunity to sign something, and maybe you think in your heart it would be wrong policy for Oklahoma because you know something maybe other people don't know, or maybe they just don't understand. Follow your heart and make the right decision. I've had to make a lot of tough decisions over the years of things that maybe my own political party, some or majority of, might have supported legislatively, but I didn't think it was good policy for the state of Oklahoma. and vetoed it. And so you got to be bold and brave and follow your heart. And you may make some mistakes here and there, but it's always an opportunity to learn and do something better.
And I am convinced there is no issue, no problem that cannot be solved without the wonderful talents and the ingenuity of our people. It's our nation that is slowly emerging from the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. But our state has been fortunate to fare better during these very difficult times and during the economic downturn, primarily because of the strength of our energy and our agriculture industries. But we have been impacted, and too many Oklahomans are either unemployed or underemployed. And that's why my administration, along with the legislature, will focus on policies that create jobs.
Is there anything that you would change that you've done in your years of service? And maybe let's focus on your terms as governor. Is there anything that you would change?
Oh, well, you know, what I wish I could have changed, there were so many years after we climbed out of the recession we were in 2011 when I took office. Finally, in 2013, we had $530 million in savings, up from $2 when I took office. We had dropped our unemployment rate from 6.2% down to 3.9% by 2013. 2014, the oil bust happened, and it lasted for a long period of time. 3 years, we had budget shortfalls that kept happening. If I could have changed the world economics, OPEC, and all the other things happening with the energy sector, and could have done something about it, I would have loved to, because it really hurt my soul that we were doing so well, and then oil went from 107 a barrel down to 26, totally out of my control. And it was hard to get the legislature to quit using what we call one-time funds. In other words, we were balancing the budget for decades. It wasn't something new, but for decades we'd take a pot of money that would not be there the next year and using it to supplement some of the shortfalls that we had for our appropriations. It was hard to break that long habit and cycle up, and we finally did up until this year. We stopped the use of one-time funds. It'd be like if you bought a car and you made your down payment, but you knew you couldn't make your car payment the next month. It was foolish the way we'd been budgeting. So we finally stopped that this year, got our budget on sound fiscal footing in a much better place with 3.4% unemployment. Now we're going to have about $500 million in savings when I leave. But I wish I could have not had such a struggle trying to fix a lot of those things. And I'm not blaming the legislature totally, but I do have to have their cooperation to fix some of the budget issues. And of course, I vetoed a budget last year after special session and called it back into a second special session because I wanted to get a teacher pay raise, and we hadn't done that. And we just kept not making the tough decisions, and we were cutting a lot of the state services down to the bare bone at one point. And so I wish things could have been a lot easier, at least for the state. But now, you know, thank goodness we've had 20 months of consecutive growth in our economy and in our revenue streams, and we have one of the lowest unemployment rates we've had in 17 years. So I'm glad we're going to be able to leave it in a better position. Mm-hmm. I hope that what people say is, you know, she left it in a much better place than where it was, and we have done that. I mean, there's certainly always bumps in the roads, big issues that are very challenging. You're never going to make everybody happy, but if you really want to change things, you got to make some tough decisions and be willing to fade the heat to get those things done. And I'm very proud that, once again, we took the economy through 2 downturns, one when I came in, one they hit in 2014, to bring it right back out. Most governors don't have 2 economic downturns in a term, but it was just the way it was, and glad to leave it in a better shape. I've been asked many, many times what's my advice for Governor-elect Stitt, and I think the biggest advice is to them and such a new legislature. I think about 2/3 of the legislature will be brand new, wouldn't have been in here when I was inaugurated, but don't spend all the rainy day money. That's one of the things we did not do during my term. As I mentioned, we only had $2.03 in the bank when I came in, and we're leaving with $500 million, and we had $500 million in 2014 when we went through the last downturn, which helped get us through those tough years leading up to this year. But don't spend all the rainy day money. Don't go back to the old habit of using money this year to balance your budget that won't be there next year. It just doesn't make sense. It's bad budgetary practices. Be open to consolidating agencies, finding ways to have shared services, Now that's been one of my big things, is how can we create more efficiencies in government? And those discussions are tough too.
The budget that you vetoed, I remember when that was up for a vote, you walked up to the gallery and sat by yourself looking down on the legislature. Why?
Well, a couple things. One is I went up there to say some prayers about watching that vote and hoping that they would, make the right decision. But in all seriousness, I was really contemplating what I was going to do if they voted it down, and if they didn't cast the right kind of vote. And would it be right to allow us to continue down that path, which was not favorable in the eyes of the nation, as far as continuing to have budget struggles and not facing our challenges and our problems face on and accepting it and doing something about it, or taking the easy road and just saying, okay, well, I'll just sign this and go on down the road. We didn't fix things. We didn't give the teachers a pay raise. We didn't fix the budget holes. We just blazed over it again. But after watching that and listening to it, and I remember one legislator saying, well, this is the best we can do. And when I heard that legislator say that in the Senate, in my mind, I said, no, it's not. It's not the best we can do as a state. We're a better state than that. And we can't have this kind of reputation and just continue to sweep things under the rug without addressing the true problems of our state. There are important needs that need to be addressed, whether it's roads and bridges, whether it's our criminal justice system, whether it's paying teachers more, taking care of abused children, or substance abuse, whatever the issue might be. We do have an obligation to provide sufficient services while also conserving taxpayer dollars. And that's where I was trying to find that fine balance. But it did make some people mad when I vetoed the budget. Just recently, one of my fellow Republicans came up to me, and a great supporter of mine and a great person that's always voted for most things that I support. But he came up to me and he says, Governor, I got to tell you, when you vetoed that budget that one day, he said, I went home to my wife and I said, man, I don't know what that woman's thinking. But he said, she vetoed the budget. Now we got to come back in again for another special session. So he told me that, but he said, I want to tell you, you took a lot of guts to do that, and you made the right decision because you forced us to come back in, fix the budget, and give the teachers a pay raise. And now we're reaping those rewards with a great economy, large amount of money in a rainy day, and certainly a low unemployment rate. That was rewarding.